There are shows with psychics.
And there are shows with doctors.
But there's no show like The Psychic and the Doc.
Your practical paranormal power unleashed.
This show synthesizes the talents of world-class medium Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, psychic explorer,
and street smart spiritualist, behavioral psychologist, Dr. Pat Baccili. All subjects are on the table and no topic is taboo. Inspiration, insight,
action, and fun as Mark Anthony connects callers with loved ones in spirit.
In tandem with Dr. Pat's fresh, no-nonsense, street smart, intuitive insights. And she is hilarious.
Extraordinary problems
require extraordinary solutions, which may come from this side
or the other side. This is The Psychic
and the Doc, and it starts now. Everyone, to The Psychic and the Doc. I'm the psychic, Mark Anthony, and I'm with my co-host, Dr. Pat Baccili, who is an amazing person, and we're very, very fortunate to have her here for all of you. And we're cracking up just because, you know, we get so excited when we're doing this show, and we're all talking behind the scenes before we get started. And this show is a Happy New Year show, and for Chinese New Year, and which just ushered in the year of the rabbit. Now, Dr. Pat, right. I know you've got some insights on the significance.
I love this. And by the way, for all you all out there, this is a live call-in show today. So we just want to be clear. Say hi to Jacob, of course. I think Jonathan may be there too. 1-800-930-2819. I think Jessica. Live call-in show. So kind of get in the queue. We're going to get rocking here because this is what we're talking about today. So the rabbit, somebody will say water rabbit, you know, whatever the rabbit is the rabbit. It's the fourth of the zodiac animals. And it has been said, you know, that this rabbit, I say little, but I mean, come on, that proud, arrogant even, right? This reminds me of a couple of, I wasn't going to say it. I'm going to get like emails if I say it. I was going to say like some of my Aries friends, but there, I said it. He was neighbors with the ox, right? But always made fun of the ox. Now, can you imagine a rabbit making fun? See, in our tradition, we put the rabbit with like the what? The roadrunner. So the rabbit makes fun of the ox because the ox is too slow. I just gotta love this. Now, why do I love this? Well, everybody's heard me say this. I spend a lot of time with people from Asia. I do. You know, to the point where I sometimes forget, but I'm very aware of some of these traditions and how important these are to them. And for those of us that sort of sit on the sidelines, we get to really be touched, right, by some of this. So like one day though, the like emperor, the jade, of course it's a jade emperor, said the zodiac order would be decided by the order which the animals arrived at his party. And so the rabbit set off at daybreak. I mean, this is the story. I'm just telling you the story now. This is like the real story. It got there, no other animals were in sight. Thinking that, oh, I'm the rabbit, I'll be first. He went out to the side and napped. I said to Linda, I think you're the rabbit because you do that. You go off to the side and nap. Okay, so that's what the rabbit did. However, when the rabbit woke up, everybody, the other animals were there. So you got to love this, right? You got to love this little story of the rabbit. But one of them was the ox, and he had always looked down upon the ox. See, this is such a metaphorical lesson for today's show. He looked down at the ox, right? But if the ox got there before, then that must have meant that the rabbit had to follow. Okay. But here's the story of this. Let's cut to the chase with what it has come to mean today. Rabbits are earnest with everything they do. They just ask that others treat them the same way. But here's the real kicker for this one, and we can talk about this more throughout the show. It is known to be the luckiest of luckiest. Now, this is not my thing. This is not mine. Mine was last year. And I certainly got a whiff of what that was like. Now, it doesn't, you don't have to be born in this year to experience, but you get to experience it, right? So everybody's going to experience. However, Linda's sister was born in a year of the rabbit. So fasten your seatbelt. But today, what we're celebrating is luck upon fortune, upon luck. And we know luck as in today's world, intuition, don't we? Now, what does that mean? So there are many of us, I have been called the luckiest person, everybody, you're so lucky, you're so lucky. But when you get a little older, you find out that you just had a little bit more intuitive insight. And I wish I could say common sense, but no, that was not me growing up. But we're going to talk about this. Sometimes, though, the rabbit's kindness makes outsiders think the rabbit is weak. They're not, Mark. So there you go. There's my little synopsis.
I love it. Yeah,
There-
I was looking into the year of the rabbit, and the year of the rabbit signifies, like you said, luck, joy, luck, joy, health, and prosperity and peace. And I really hope that the year of the rabbit brings peace, because our world certainly doesn't seem to be very peaceful now. And we as individuals may not be able to change what's going on in the world, but we can change what's going on with us. And a lot of these symbolic, like these zodiac symbols, it is a motivation for us to focus on peace, good health, joy, and fortune. And you said something, Dr. Pat, about people saying that you're lucky and how lucky you are. I have people say it to me, and it makes me think of is what Thomas Jefferson said: is the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Oh, totally.
because luck just doesn't fall. I mean, there are some people who, I grew up with a bunch of people, and some of them to this day have never worked a day in their life because they were handed trust funds and things like this. Well, I wasn't one of those people. And in a sense, I'm glad that I wasn't, because I see a lot of them just stagnating and pursuing hedonism and all these, so what did they leave behind? And it's important for us to make each day count.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of the year of the rabbit, is for us to make each day count, so that we will be lucky. We will have that joy, that good health, and that peace, that inner peace.
Now, here's what I want to say real quick. All right, we're going to go to phones, everybody. We're right with you. We're right almost on you right there. So when you look at this, Karen, a friend of mine, Linda's sister, was born the year of the rabbit. And this fits her to a T, right? If you separate this from all the other stuff, like all the gazillion personality tests that all of us have taken, I find out, okay, what a waste of money the company spent. But women born of the rabbit, they love being social. They're thoughtful. They treat everyone politely. They're conscious of their public image. They hate violence and arguments. No kidding. I mean, if you know anybody here with the rabbit thing, a conflict, they're going shopping. They're out. They're like gone. Right? I mean, you can see it. But men are different. They're polite. But they too can avoid conflicts. You're not going to see them like people born of the rabbit are not boxers. They're not going to be, their profession is, they're not going to be boxers. They're not going to be Ali, any of the Ali families. But the point is today, it's an energy, and that's what we want to celebrate. We always take time to celebrate many, many cultures and many, many things. But I think this was extraordinary, when I thought about this today. And we're going to do that on our calls, Mark, aren't we?
Absolutely. And so when you want to go to the calls, do you think now would be a good time?
Yeah, you're the boss of me. Go do it.
All right. All right. This is our first call in the year of the rabbit.
All right. First up, we've got Susie calling in from Arizona. Hi there, Susie.
Hi, Susie.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm talking to you guys.
You so talking to us, right?
You are here,
Yes.
Susie. So, well, welcome to the Psychic and the Doc, Susie. How can
Yeah.
we help you?
Well, I just read your book, Evidence of Eternity,
Oh, thank
and
you.
thought it was super.
Well,
I don't
thanks.
know how I
appreciate
found you other than some help from the other side, but I just went through a really devastating loss last week
that. Oh my
and
gosh.
didn't know if you had any. Well, yeah, it's. And I
You
don't even
know,
want to say it, but
if I can, Susie, it's only been a week, and so it's okay if you don't have the words just yet, because
Yeah.
with grief, and you know, so many people have written about grief, myself included, and the great late great Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross wrote about the 5 stages of grief, and but I believe that yes, there's the stages of grief, and I agree with Dr. Ross, but there's also 2 phases of grief. There's shock and then trauma. And right now you're still in the shock phase. It's only been a week. And shock is you're just trying to make sense of everything. It doesn't feel real. It's the I can't believe this happened. And for me, it's that sense of like you're outside of your body looking in. And then eventually that fades, and then the trauma sets in, and that's what we have to live with for the rest of our lives. And and then simultaneously with all this are these different stages of grief. So if you feel like you're in a whirlpool and getting swirled around, you know, that's very normal. Dr. Pat, what do you say?
I think first of all, thank you for calling in. I'm so sorry to hear about your loss.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm not even sure how
Yeah.
you managed to get the energy to call in, but that's very telling me of who you are. That tells me a little bit about you,
Thank you.
and without even knowing you.
Thank you.
But the fact that
Thank-
you did this, here's what I want to say to you. You're strong, and strong people grieve. Somebody asked me once upon a time, what they heard me talk about grief in a show, and they said to me, you know, you made some distinctions, Pat, between people that handle grief really well and then can go on with their lives, and people that take a little longer. And I said, yeah, I did talk about that, but I talked about that without judgment, because you see, each of us is here in our own way. But I learned a lesson from the Dalai Lama, and it was this, and I learned this up close and personal. You know, Dalai Lama sitting around the table talking, and, you know, here we are, right? And he's a funny guy, right? He's a pretty funny guy. Well, he was. And in comes his number 1 person, walks in the room and walks up to the Dalai Lama and whispers something that none of us could hear. And the Dalai Lama, the energy, his head dropped, right? You know what I'm saying? His head dropped. You could feel the tension. Maybe, I don't know, a couple seconds, right? And then his head goes up and on he goes. But, you know, we're all like, what happened for that moment? He had just gotten news that he lost his very, very best friend. They executed his best friend.
Oh,
This is an expression of grief in the moment of his grief. Now, I don't know if he spent more time, but I know in that moment, that was what he needed. He didn't need an hour. He didn't need a year. He needed that concentrated time of honoring. And I think that's you. I think you're like that in some way. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. I lost my joy, I guess you could say.
Exactly.
And purpose, and yeah, I didn't know if there were any messages from my spirits and loved ones and on the other side.
Okay, Susie, let me open up to I've been opened to frequency, sorry. and I've got a male energy coming through connected to you, and I'm getting this sense that when he passed, it seems like there was either a lot of commotion or it was rather abrupt with his passing. And I'm getting this massive pressure in my chest. And first off, please accept my condolences for the passing of your loved ones. And a lot of times when I give evidence, particularly of how people died, it may sound clinical, like I'm getting this feeling that, and I don't mean it in an unsympathetic way. It's just the way that it's coming into me, and I want to give it to you as accurately as it's being transmitted to me. So I'm getting this sensation in my chest, and it feels like it, like, example, if I were laying on the floor on my back and you were putting weights on my chest, this is what it feels like. But it feels like it came upon him very, very abruptly, very suddenly. And I'm also getting this really bitter metallic taste in my mouth. Now, the bitter metallic taste can mean a couple different things. Sometimes it's gunshot, but I don't think that may be the case here. But other times it can mean medications, legal or otherwise. And with that, it could also mean some type of seizures or convulsions prior to passing. Does any of that make sense to you, Susie?
Well, actually, it was my dog that passed, and they gave him medication to pass.
Okay. I'm not picking up on an animal just yet. I want to expand the parameters of this. Is there a male energy connected to you that may have died from abruptly, and it feels like there was a lot of problems in his cardiopulmonary system, and that he had been treated? It almost feels like somebody that had been on hospice, and the pressure buildup in the chest, but it feels very abrupt as well. Does anything there make sense?
My brother, perhaps.
Okay. All right. How did your brother pass? And let's see if what I brought through matches up.
Well, I found him. He passed from substance abuse.
There we go.
So
this is him. This is him.
He.
No, that's all I need. That's all I need. That's all I need. Yeah. What it is, I got your brother here. Was your dog kind of a smaller dog, not like a Chihuahua, but a little bit bigger than that? Like about the size of like a Sheltie, or, you know, something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's, do you want me to tell you what he was?
Well, because he's sitting on your brother's lap is what I'm getting. Your brother's come through in tandem with your friend, your four-legged friend. And okay, you can go ahead and tell me now.
Yeah, he's a Cairn Terrier.
Hey, what?
And Cairn Terrier, like in The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, like a Toto dog. Okay. All right.
Totally,
yeah, so I'm getting like Sheltie, but they both have that longer type hair. So he's, so it's come through with your brother. The dog was, like you indicated, the dog was very, very ill. And the dog, I'm also getting a shivering sensation. So the shivering indicates circulation issues. Look, I know all dogs like cheese. The first thing this dog's going to is cheese. Did you used to treat him like with little chunks of cheese now and again?
No, never.
Interesting. Maybe you wanted cheese. Okay, let me ask you this. Hold on, before I don't want to let that go. What does cheese mean to you? In other words, you or somebody close to you may love cheese, hate cheese, lactose intolerance, but I'm getting this whole thing with cheese.
No, I'm not picking up on that.
Oh, well, yes, but
he had treats, but it wasn't cheese.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she may have to think about this one a little bit.
Yeah, Susie, it really is too soon to engage in spirit communication, not for the spirits, but for you, because with the profound sense of grief, and as it explains in my books and in my website, that you normally wait 4 to 6 months. And the reason for that is so that your emotions stabilize. but
Yeah.
but feel free to call back in.
Yeah.
And Susie, once again, we're very sorry for your loss, but
Yeah.
I want you to think about little chunks
Yeah.
of cheese, because there's going to be something. I know it. I know when I'm getting good
Okay.
stuff. All right. Take care, Susie.
Thank
God bless.
you. Thank you, Susie. Wow. That was the hardest thing when I lost Travis. Wow. It was so hard. So hard. Jacob, who do we have?
Yeah, next up we've got Joshua calling in from Oklahoma. Hi there, Joshua.
Hi, Joshua. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going
Hey, guys.
good. How are you? How are you doing?
Pretty good. Just sitting out, getting ready to do a security gig at a church. So,
Okay. Well, good. What can we do to help you then? We don't want to hold you up from that job, huh?
it's all right. It doesn't for 30 minutes anyway. Well, it's kind of interesting. I've explained it a few times, but no, I live in the Bible Belt. So in the Bible Belt, everything's demon.
Oh yeah, everything's demon. Did you
but-
say demon or Damon?
Yeah.
Same thing, right? Okay,
Demon.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's demons in Oklahoma. In fact, it's ironic that I'm talking to you because they think psychic ability is the work and stuff. So it's just it's an interesting living in the Bible Belt.
It's really
But,
interesting you're
I
bringing
have
this up. Hold on a minute. It's interesting you're bringing this up.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why. I grew up with a stepmom. I mean, Deep South, Bible Belt, they're kind of all the same. But it was fascinating growing up with this woman and her family, because I didn't grow up in the Southern Baptist. I grew up as Catholic. So my exposure was fascinating to me. Now, I don't know if these people down there in the South were like really different, but they revered the people in the Bible that were psychic, like the Daniels, right?
Yeah.
They had a whole different spin
It's
on it.
ironic.
It's thank you. I'm gonna turn you over to Mark. It is ironic.
Joshua, I'm really glad that you called in, because in my books and in several of the lectures I give, see, the people that say psychics are evil, they take the salad bar approach to Christianity, where they get to pick and choose what passages they want to cast the first stone. And if you read Deuteronomy 18:21 through 22, it sets the standard for what comes through a prophet, which is in the Bible how psychics are referred to. What comes through a psychic, it sets the standard of truth. In other words, if what the prophet brings through comes to pass, it is true, and therefore it is sanctioned by God. And then when you go to the New Testament, in the first book of Corinthians 12, verses 4 through 12, it says that we all have gifts from God, and two of the gifts are prophecy and discernment of spirits. And then in Romans 12, verses 6 through 8, it indicates that we all have gifts from God, and if your gift is one of prophecy, you shall prophesy in accordance with your faith. So, and I can go on and on and on. In fact, like I said, I have several lectures on this topic. So don't be dissuaded by people who don't really understand the religion they say they follow, because saying I am a Christian no more makes you a Christian than standing in a garage makes you a mechanic.
I 100% agree. When in 2017, I actually started identifying as a Christian, and I grew up not really liking a lot of Christians. And when I became a Christian, I really started not liking a lot of Christians. And then I had to learn that it's not their fault. They don't know. They only know what they're taught, and you're shaking up their foundation anytime you question it. But I actually created a whole podcast and everything. It's called SOG-TV, that stands for Soldier of God Television, but it's kind of funny because people, when you hit around here, if you say Soldier of God, they think Christian, they think that, and I think I don't care if you call it source or what, it's just, if you're loving somebody, you're loving God. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah,
But,
exactly. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to, I get on tangents really easily.
That's okay. We do too. Welcome to the crowd. How can we help you today?
You've come to the right place.
It's funny. You're the rabbit. I'm always chasing the rabbit trail, like they say. So,
Well, yeah, it's
but
a good, by the way, it's a good year to chase the rabbit. It's one of the wealthiest years that I think we're gonna see.
yeah,
But let me turn it over to Mark. I think he
I-
could help you out here.
All right, go ahead, Joshua.
okay. All right. Well, about a year and a half ago, I go to bed, and I'll try to give a version of the story. I promise. Um, I lay down. Honestly, I was dealing with chronic pain, and somebody gave me a CBD gummy, telling me that should help. And I ended up high, and I hate being high. So I started praying, saying, "Hey, take this away." I fell asleep. 30 minutes later, I wake up still going sober. If you know anything about marijuana, that doesn't happen. But I did. Well, I stand up, and all of a sudden, the left side of my body started like convulsing. Just the left side, and I could see in my mind's eye like this kind of purplish greenish color, like moving towards the right. So I started praying. I said, "Stop!" And then it stopped, but then it started coming, and it stopped, and it did that a few times. And I remember, and I got up, and it just wouldn't, it came again, and then all of a sudden I saw in my mind's eyes like, "Hey, you have holy water, it's in your bathroom, just go over there." And so I went in there, blessed my own water, threw it on my head, and it went away for 24 hours, but I still didn't go to sleep. Well, this ended up happening every time I went to fall asleep. My body would start convulsing. At one point, it was like my lungs disappeared. Not like I couldn't breathe, like I was suffocating, but like I didn't even have lungs. And everybody kept on thinking I was having a stroke. And
Right.
I go to, I'm sorry.
Right. No, I understand what you're talking about. Now, did you feel this was necessarily a negative presence? Let's take the fear out of it. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. What, because I believe I know what you were encountering, but I want to see what your feeling is.
Well, honestly, it scared the piss out of me because I don't, I never really been scared of death. To be honest, the way I grew up, I was always wishing for it, but I wasn't suicidal. Just kind of, I was a police officer and everything. I was, hoping that I did. Then I ended up having a daughter and stuff at 7, and I'm like, it's the first time I ever felt unconditional love. So I didn't want to die. I wanted to make sure that she had a father with her. But that was the only thing that bothered me. And it was having something control me that bothered me. And the irony of it is I had a religious friend tell me, "Oh, it's demons." But then I had a non-religious friend, his father, I ran into him, and I hadn't slept for 4.5 days, and been to the ER like 3 times. And they even thought I was having a stroke, but it wasn't a stroke. And he said, "Well, you need to go home." And he said, "You need to tell it to leave you alone." So I went home, and I mean, I was not nice. I'm not going to cuss on here because I don't know what kind of show you'll have. But I was not. I said, "Listen, I don't need." I'll reword it. I said I don't need.
We get it. We don't need it.
We get it. Totally
we get it. Yeah. Yeah, she's a psychologist.
Okay,
I'm a lawyer. We've heard those words. Okay.
I'm also the daughter of a truck driver. Just saying.
Oh, okay. So you definitely know.
I definitely
Well, anyways,
do
it
know.
left, and I haven't had it since. And but I've had this vibration ever since then. Like my body constantly vibrates, especially when I talk about anything serious like this. I can feel it. In fact, I had to get used to it. The first couple of months, I thought my bed was vibrating, like bad. It keep me awake.
Okay. All right. Hold on, Joshua.
This is really good, Joshua.
Yeah,
this is good. Hold
great.
on a minute. This is really good. Hold on.
All right, Joshua, I want you to do something. On the count of 3, take a deep breath through your nose and then gently exhale through your mouth. And when you feel this entity around, do that because that's a centering and focusing. Also, that brings your energy down and starts to clear things. What I'm getting is that the entity, see, people that are empathic and you're like what's known as a wide open psychic. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to, start doing psychic things or mediumistic things, but you're very sensitive to the presence of spirits and you're picking up on a spirit guide. And when you said it was green and purple, that's fascinating because purple is a highly spiritual color and green is the heart chakra, okay? And the fact that you're feeling vibrations on the left side of your body, which is the heart chakra. See, a lot of times, and it's interesting when I watch a video of myself connecting with spirits, and sometimes I'll do this kind of like Elvis thing, like, you know, and what that is when a spirit's electromagnetic energy interfaces with my electromagnetic field, I get these tingles and these type of sensations, which is what you're describing to us now. So what's happening is, yes, you're encountering a spiritual entity. Is it negative? It does not appear to be so, because initially it frightened you, but you're not really afraid of it. You're afraid of the physiological response. And so when the entity comes around, do that deep breathing exercise. And as a Christian, invoke the white light of Christ, or the white light of the Holy Spirit. And if you feel that it's negative, ask God to send forth Archangel Michael and his band of mercy to escort this entity into the light. See, that way you're not getting confrontational, and you're summoning higher frequency entities. But what I believe, I think this is one of your guides, and I also feel that this is an angelic entity because of the colors and because of the high vibrational sensation that you're receiving. But if you're uncomfortable with this, then you set the parameters. Envision yourself in like think of like a beam of white light around you, and then ask God to expand the white light to your room, to your house, to your whole neighborhood. All right, and ask this entity to be escorted into the light. But if you feel that this is not negative, then then ask the entity, what are you here to tell me? And that's what you have to do, because a lot of times young mediums or inexperienced mediums, they will describe to me sensations that you're having, because once you start working with it, then you realize, all right, I'm getting this physical sensation, and that's what's happening. So does that make sense to you, Jacob?
Yeah, Joshua, 100%.
Joshua.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joshua.
Jacob's our producer.
You know what it is?
Jacob, Joshua, they're all in the
Jacob's name.
Bible.
I
They're both in the Bible. I love the way you
That's
explain
right.
that.
I was a cop. I'm used to being called a lot of different names, so I don't get offended by names.
I can feel you on that. So may I say something, Mark?
Go right ahead.
Here's what I want to say. First of all, thank you for sharing that story. It is so perfect for the year 2023. Secondly, I really want to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to let you go. I don't want to keep you forever. I'm probably making you late for your gig. But here's what I want to say.
No, it's fun. I volunteer anyway.
Yeah. So wow, let's look at this guy. Here's what I want to say. I want you to think about people that you may be familiar with over time. Now, I'm not going to tell you what century, I'm not going to tell you what decade. But when you think about the people that have had experience like you've just shared, there's only one difference. The one difference is a lot of these people, ancient, I'm going way back, right? Like I'm not even going back 2,000 years. I'm going like back before that, right? These people that have had these experiences, one thing that they all had in common before we decided to judge, classify, categorically process people that felt these energies. You feel me? When you go back in time, the difference between them and us is that we have so told ourselves through some faux intellectual jargon that when we feel the energy of God or anything else, there's something wrong with us. Now, why is that so? If you go back ancient times, back to Moses's mama, taking that little baby and throwing that little baby in the Nile, knowing the baby was going to be saved. You see, we have to stop judging each other, and we have to stop judging each other for our spiritual beliefs. You know what I'm saying? There are so many people. Look, let me give you this last example. I'll listen to a pastor. Every time I say this, I get emails from people. They're like, we know you're a Christian, Pat. Let me tell you something. I have studied almost every possible spiritual practice on the planet because I was a spiritual hitchhiker, hiker. Here's what I want to tell you. I'll listen to Joel and Joel Osteen. And first of all, I love the way he switched from his very judgmental view on gay people to then saying they can come to my church. So I like that. But here's the other thing. He talks about his mom's experience. Cancer. She was going to die. But what did she do? She felt something. You see what I'm saying? She felt something.
Yeah.
She hurt. So here's what I want you to do. This is the year of the rabbit, and I'm gonna drive this home. This is the year of optimism. It's the year of possibility. And I got to tell you, Joshua, you have got all of that. Please be your authentic self. Please hold the higher order of love. Please know that if something like this happens, if we believe that everything is energy, work with Mark to try to understand it better. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you hear what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with you.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to get off this call
Yeah,
thinking there's something wrong with you, or that I think there's something wrong
No,
with you.
Joshua, you're fine. You're fine.
But you got to call us back, though.
Yeah.
Because I got to hear part 2 to this story. Because once you stay open to the magnificent and the possibilities of whatever you want to call it, God, Jesus, the Lord, whatever that is, when you open the door of possibility to the divine will come in. I don't care what religion it is. They are just, this is the thing I want you to stay with. The minute you doubt yourself, the minute you think yourself is wrong, right? That's what you'll invite. Please explore the possibilities of love as you move forward, okay? Thank you so much for calling in, Joshua, okay?
All right. Many blessings.
Okay.
Good night.
Am I supposed to say, go Sooners? Is that Oklahoma Sooners? Am I supposed to say that? I got the wrong dang state. Did I have the wrong state, Joshua, there?
Yeah, no, it's a state. Yeah, Oklahoma Sooners. Yep.
All right, go Sooners. Thank you, Joshua. Hey, let's take a really quick, very short break, 30 seconds, and we'll go to the phone. We'll be right back.
Back to the Psychic and the Doc on the Transformation Network. I'm Mark Anthony, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Dr. Pat Baccili, and our producer, recording superstar, Jacob. Who do we have on the line?
Yeah, next up we've got Linda calling in from North Carolina. Hi there, Linda.
Hey, Linda, how are you?
I'm fine. How are y'all?
Hey, listen to me. What part of the Carolina you sitting in? Because that's where my mama and the family's from. That's the North Carolina is the farthest north they're from. Everything else is below that.
I'm in eastern North Carolina.
Okay, you're in there then, right? You're in
Yes.
there. All right, good. Hey, how can we help you? We want to get you right to it. I'm going to turn you over to Mark, okay?
Okay.
Did you hear that little Southern accent
I
come
had
up
a
on me?
reading.
Did you hear that? Did you hear me do that little Southern thing? I just kicked right in right there.
I know. I love
That's my
it.
stepmom. That's why everybody says, why don't you have a New York accent? My stepmom was from chitlins and gravy country, folks. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
All right. All right, Linda. I'm sorry. All right. How can we help you,
I was wanting to see
Linda?
if you had any messages from either my husband that passed away 4.5 years ago or my parents.
Okay, hold on. Let's see who's coming through.
Mm.
Well, you got a whole lot of people. You got more than just 3, but we want to get to some other callers too. So I'm getting a female energy coming through, and this could be your mom. And what I'm getting is, did she, and I want to be diplomatic here, but she's the one projecting this to me. This woman had a few extra pounds on her for most of her life and prior to passing. Does this make any sense?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on. And hey, did they keep your spirits keep talking about the Buick? The Buick. Did somebody try? Somebody must have driven a Buick because they are hitting me big time with Buick.
My mother had a Buick.
And we got your mom. All right, let's see what she wants you to know. All right, hold on. Yeah, she's over there with your husband. And look, and I don't mean to stereotype, but your husband is eating fried chicken. Now, they don't actually eat over there. They give us this projection, and he's making a joke that it's finger licking good. Now, I know that's Kentucky Fried Chicken, but what is it with your husband and the chicken wings and the fried chicken and all the fried food?
He always ate a lot of chicken.
All right. See, we got your mom with the Buick and your husband with the chicken. What do they want you to know? Oh, they're talking about a change of environment. Now, a change of environment could indicate that maybe you're doing some remodeling, refurbishing, carpentry type work around your house. But it feels to me that you're either considering or in the process of either moving or transferring some type of real estate. Does this make any sense?
Yes.
Okay, they're telling me that this is a good move for you. This is a good idea. Your mother also wants you to know how incredibly proud she is of you. She said that you're very good about looking before you leap, and you always think things through. Now we're popping over to your husband, and he said that one of the things that made him love you, he said, is the way you look at things. He said, he could just look at a rope, and to him it's a rope, but to you, you'd see the individual strands and how the light hit it, and how something as plain as a piece of rope could be a work of art. And he said, Linda, I loved you for many reasons, but you looked at life as color and art, and you made it so enjoyable to be with. He said, I love you so much.
Wow. Wow.
And I'll leave you with that. Wow, I'm
Wow.
getting choked up on that one.
I do too. Linda, what do you think? What do you think, Linda?
I don't know what to think. I have thought about selling my house. This is the home that I grew up in. And I have farmland that I was considering selling. My son does not live here. He's 85 miles away, and I thought about moving to that area, but I really don't want to move to that area.
Oh, there you go.
Want to be near my family.
Yeah. Okay, so here, can I jump in?
Absolutely.
This year is the year of family. If I had to give you a little bit of advice, I think it's really good for you to be searching, but not for you to do something you don't want to do unless you absolutely don't have any other choice. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes
there's a lot of traffic in his area, and I don't like driving in traffic. I'm in a rural area and have been all my life.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing. I'm telling you, I was from New York City and I moved to California and I almost lost my mind. But here's what I want to say. You don't have to make a decision right now. And I don't think we want her to. Right, Mark?
No, they said it's a good move, but the thing is, it's a good move if you want it to be. And maybe if you do sell the land in your house, the farmland and or the house, you could move closer to your son without being like caught up in all the traffic.
That's right.
I think what they're saying is, basically downsize, make your life less complex.
Yeah. And what I'm saying to you is, don't do anything you don't want to do or absolutely don't have to do. Do you hear me on this?
Yep.
Now, look, I don't like to generalize people, but I will tell you, I learned that from all my Southern relatives. I'm just telling you, I don't know what it was about what I learned from my stepmom and my culture. And that culture is they were very kind to other people, always. But boy, they were very clear about what they wanted to do and what they didn't. And sometimes they hit it and sometimes they missed it. Please feel what's in your heart. And Mark's right. This may be, you may have to find the middle of the road.
Sell any of it. My son doesn't want me to sell any of it. And
well, you just got to get what you want to do. Right?
Well, then tell him, Well, then tell your son, then here, come live here and you take care of it. And then I won't sell it. Okay. Because it's really easy for him to say, well, Mom,
Yeah.
I don't want you to sell it, but
Yeah.
take care of the farm, take care of this big house.
Yeah.
As long as I don't have to deal with it.
I got
No,
to compromise. Tell your son to get you a hired person, a hired hand. People need work. So if he doesn't want to come there, just say to him, look, son, give me $1,000 a month or more, and let me get somebody in here to run this place with me. Look, we gave you so many solutions. You got to call back and tell us what you decide. Okay.
I'll try.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you,
All right,
Linda.
thank you. Oh my God, I love these. This is a really complex night.
It is.
I'm
And I
like,
love
I'm
it.
like, my clothes are falling off here. I don't know what's happening. Jacob,
Yeah.
Jacob, who do we have?
Next up, we've got Debbie calling in from Illinois. Hi there, Debbie.
Hi, Deb.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm okay. I'm calling basically to see if there's anyone close to me that can kind of explain everything that's going so crazy in my life right now.
Well, hold on.
You've called into the right show. You got the
did.
right place.
All right, well, let's take this one step at a time. I'm getting a male energy coming through to you. It feels like he's connected to you through your male side of the family, which would be your father's side of the family. Doesn't necessarily have to be a father, but he's on that level, that generational level. And what I'm getting with him is I'm coughing a lot, like, and I'm smelling a lot of cigarette smoke. So at least at one point in this guy's life, he was a pretty heavy smoker. But I don't think that that's what took his life, although it certainly complicated things toward the end. I'm getting a burning sensation in my throat, and I'm having issues with his vocal cords at some point, and a lot of shoulder and joint pain. Wow. Toward the end, this guy, like everything hurt. Could have been rheumatoid arthritis, could have been something else. My back is hurting. I'm feeling unsteady on his feet and legs. So he was having difficulty walking toward the end. And then when he did pass, it wasn't a real big surprise that this gentleman was going to pass. And he was ready to go. He'd had enough of all the pain and discomfort. Does this make any sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay. What's his relationship to you? Your uncle? Okay. Is that your dad's brother?
Yes, it is.
Okay. He said, you know what I'm talking about when it comes to spinning your wheels. He said, you feel like you're going in 20 directions at one time and you feel like you're not making any headway. He said, but you really are. You really are. And he's talking about the Mustang. Now, it could be a horse, but I'm kind of thinking of the car. Did somebody have a Mustang?
Oh, God. At one time, one of my kids did.
That's a yes. Okay. Yeah. Hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
What'd you want to say? What'd you want to say?
Well, what he's saying is making sense. And one of the reasons I'm calling is I'm having a lot of trouble with my younger son. I know you know who I am from Facebook, but we lost 3 children, and our daughter was killed in 2017. And our youngest son was very, very close to her. And the kids found out on the school bus that she'd been killed, which was a horrible way to find out. But ever since that's happened, he's bipolar too. And, but we've taken him to counseling. We've done everything with him, and he's just bitter. He just turned 18. He's into things I'm sure he's not supposed to be in. And I know he smokes pot, which about 99.9 of all these kids do anymore, which in a way is better than drinking with someone that's bipolar. But I've heard so much, and we just can't get him back. He used to be so easygoing and so good. And actually, he picked up on energy when he was little. And when my mom had passed years before James was born. And anyway, we had an old video out of my mom, and
it showed it. We were watching it on my TV, and he says, "That's my grandma." And I said, "It is." And he goes, "Yeah." He says, "I talked to her." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "Well, what did you say?" And he said, "We were at some kind of family reunion." And she said, "Oh, well, hello there, James Michael. And how are you?" And and he was little. And these words were really big out of his mouth. I mean, and anyways, there was other things that he came up with it when he was little. There was an old song, and I can't remember the name of it. It was something called "Slipping Away" back in the 30s, I believe.
Slip Sliding Away by Paul Simon. Is that it?
No, it's way old.
It's like the 30s. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's called "Slipping Away" or something like that. And I've got some friends that live in England, and they were visiting quite often. Anyway, they said that they looked it up, but James, as soon as he heard that song, he knew the words. My husband was riding in the band, and his brother had given him these old tapes, and he knew the words, and he actually was singing, and he would tap his foot. He knew them, and that was so. I think he's a reincarnate for one. Somewhere.
Well, we all
line,
are.
And he also,
Everybody is in what it is.
Right.
That some people tend to remember it. And, I don't want to go out on a limb here, but, when you say that he's bipolar, let's assume for the sake of discussion, and Dr. Pat, definitely I need your input on this, being the psychologist, but let's say that he has past life memories, which according to what you told us, he exhibited.
Right.
Now, if this could cause a lot of stress, and he's dealing not only with his beloved sister being killed, but also with being a teenager, being growing up, and that could be causing him what could be diagnosed as bipolar disorder, because he's dealing with issues not just from this life, but from a previous one. Dr. Pat, I know this is an unusual question, but what's your take on that?
Well, I know we only have a few minutes, so I want to give this to you really quickly and I want to put the caveat out there. I don't know enough about him to really give you anything concrete, but I'm going to give you a generalization. Everything that you talked about.
One thing?
We have like 1 minute left.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Here's what I know without you telling me anymore. And this is what I know. Generally speaking, young people that go through the cycle that you just described for him, without the loss of anything, it is a difficult road because no one understands what they're going through. Not only do they not understand it, but they don't understand what they're going through to the point of deep isolation. And so a diagnosis of bipolar may or may not have been triggered from the event. But the point is, you described a child that was highly intuitive, psychic almost, and I can't say for sure, but here's what I know. He needs to be in front of people that understand him. And I don't know if you can get him that support, but he needs to be part of a group. He needs to be connected with people that are that are in these groups, in these realms of support, that will hear him, see him, and understand him. And that to me is the first step, because it is a roller coaster ride, which has something to do with bipolar, but has everything to do with how intuitively sensitive he is. Right, Mark?
I agree. Oh, one of our producers, Rocky, she looked up the song "It's Slipping Away" by Buddy Guy.
Who?
The name of the song is "Slipping Away," and the performer or the writer, his name was Buddy Guy, Guy.
Okay, and it was way back, and that's like I said, he knew the words. But what I was trying to say is, he's adopted, and my daughter Caitlin that died was bipolar also. It's real strong in the family.
And all I'm trying to say is all of that is great information. and it has to be put in the context of not bipolar for me, because I'm not able to legally even address that on air. What I'm addressing
Right.
is what you said. This is a highly intuitive and psychic child that
Yes.
you don't even
I
know,
agree.
you don't know the impact of that. But if there's a way you can find him people, whether it's an online group that are like him, not bipolar like him, but intuitive like him, I think that's a first step, Mark.
Yeah, I think that would
me.
be good. Yeah. Well, thank
Yeah.
you for calling
Thank
in.
you.
We
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
that.
Yeah.
And wow, Dr. Pat, this has been an amazing night.
I know. I know.
It's just fascinating callers. And the thing is, everybody, we're going to be back next week. It's going to be another call-in show.
Yep.
And I want to tell everybody about the Ancestral Healing Summit. If you go to my website, afterlifefrequency.com, it's a free summit put out by the Shift Network. I'm one of the speakers, and it's using the wisdom of your ancestors to help heal intergenerational trauma. Also, on my calendar of events on February 17th, I'll be conducting an online light circle limited to 6 people, so everybody gets a reading. So Ancestral Healing Summit, February 17th light circle, and Dr. Pat and I will be back here on the Transformation Network, the Psychic and the Doc, next Thursday for another call-in show.
Hey, everybody, thank you for tuning into the Psychic and the Doc with Mark Anthony and me, Dr. Pat Baccili, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Hey, look, come back next week so we can explore with you more of life's many challenges and learn from fascinating guests. And you know what? Even Mark and me. We'll connect you and discover insights from people in this life and from the afterlife. Extraordinary problems? Yeah, they do. They require extraordinary solutions. But step into the world of possibilities with us on the Psychic and the Doc. That's every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. That's TransformationTalkRadio.com. And don't forget, we're also live face-to-face on Facebook.com, Transformation Talk Radio.